Hello, welcome to my garden here in Denmark. It's the 14th of January and we have had quite a lot of snow. We had snow a week ago and a lot of it has melted away. There was actually more than this, and it started out as rain in the afternoon and then it turned to snow during night. And the issue was that it actually stuck to quite a lot of the evergreens, especially the evergreens have been affected by it. And what I did the day afterwards is that I went outside and I tried to shake as much snow off them as I could to prevent them from being weighted down. This is a hue, a columnar hue, and it is actually a really nice plant. When I received those hues a couple of years ago, I trimmed them in quite a lot, and I keep trimming them each spring. I trim them in. They have a tendency to become a little bit wide, and I want them as a slim column in the border. I believe I have 17 of these columnar varieties in all, and all of them were purchased rather small. The columnar hues also come in a golden variety. Let's see if we can get the camera to pick this one up. This is the golden variety. I have the golden variety in the center of the border, in the middle border that is surrounded by grass, and I think that is a really nice variety as well. They tend to draw the eye because they are yellow, and hence I have them in the middle border instead of the outer border. Sitting right behind this hue, we have a witch hazel. This is witch hazel Arnold's Promise. That will flower with yellow flowers, and it's budded up really nicely this year, so it will have a lot of yellow flowers. And as you can see, they are slowly starting to open up. I think this one will be in flower in February, perhaps the middle of February. Weather forecast says that we will have frost again, including daytime frost, so it might take a little while for it to open up. Here in the garden I have started the cleanup, the winter cleanup. What I remove first is the geraniums. The geraniums tend to become a soggy wet mess as soon as they're hit by the first frost, so I remove those. Also I remove the foliage of, I think it's called Iris siberica. I remove the foliage on that one. It has the same issue, becomes wet and soggy basically, and becomes a really dense layer on the ground. What I don't remove are the stems of plants that become these rather nice looking dry structures. Those I keep. Basically everything that becomes a dry structure I keep, except, and we are standing right next to the exception, these ones. These are Agastache called Black Adder, and the issue here is that I'm on clay and they tend to suffer from windrock when the clay gets, when the soil here gets very wet and it's windy. Then they will rock from side to side and they'll basically dig themselves up. So I trim those back. Those are the exception. And if they, pro tip, if they do dig themselves up, just plant them again. That's what I did the first time I noticed. I just planted them again. Now look at that elder. That is a nice structure here. Well, I should not be filming up against the sun. Just see from over here, that is a really nice structure. That is really good looking here in winter. With this garden feature below it, I have an aquarium heater in it set to 5 degrees, and it will basically keep this from freezing over. Also in here, I don't know how much of it you can see, but it's a Cornus siberica, red-stemmed cornus, right? What's it called? A dogwood, right? And these, when you purchase these, make sure you get one that keeps red stems. Basically, even the older stems on this one are looking rather red. I have 4 of these plants throughout the garden, and I think I've been lucky with each one of them. I have seen quite a few varieties that are also called Siberica, but are clearly not the same one. So there are variations within the Cornus Sibericas. Some of them become really grey quite early. This one also has, as the stems they're a little bit older, the bark is a little bit older towards the ground. There you can see they are more grey, but on this one it's not that bad. I think I'm gonna take out 3 stems at the bottom of the plant this year. I have done so basically each year since I've got it. I've removed approximately 3 stems each year, and it renews it so that it keeps on having these red stems. Sitting next to this cherry laurel, we'll cover that one a little bit later in the video as well. Of course, cherry laurels provide a really nice foliage here in winter. It tends to be a little bit worse looking when it's really cold though. But it turns back to this. But unfortunately it has been affected quite a lot from the blizzard. You cannot see it from this side, but we'll cover that one in just a moment again. Yeah, rest of the garden. Yeah, really more of the same stuff is covered up by snow right now. Also, I turn my benches over here in winter. It prevents them from falling. They're on aluminium frames, so they're just not heavy enough to stand up in the wind. When the wind really hits here, they will fall over. Yeah, let's just make our way. I think I'm just gonna cut, and then we'll be probably closer to the cherry laurel over there. And yeah, now we are on the path that runs along the back of the border. So we are on the inside of the path that's running throughout the garden. You cannot see this path during summer, but it's here so that I can trim the hedge and also get to the back of the border really easily for maintenance reasons. As you can see here, this one had the same issue as the other evergreen plants, and that is that it was weighted towards the ground due to snow. And unfortunately it has suffered quite a lot. You'll notice that down here there's a tear. I did take the weight off this one. Over here there's a tear as well. I also removed the weight from that one. This one does not make me that nervous. I could probably cut that one away where the tear ends, and my guess is that would heal up rather nicely. Of course it's to the middle of the stem, but still my guess is it wouldn't make that one so much of an impact. The biggest issue is down there. You'll notice that stem has also cracked, and that is not good, and that goes below ground as well. So it's a problem. At least it happens to one of the least expensive plants in the entire garden, because people here in Denmark use these as hedging, and I don't. I just have them, a couple of them, but since they're used for hedging, they are actually rather well. If you plant them as hedging, they are actually expensive hedging, but if you use them as I do as a single plant, are really not expensive anymore. So I am not sure. There are more solutions to this one, right? I could try to salvage it, try to cut these away and have the plant heal up. It might heal up nicely. Or I could trim it to the ground, have it reshoot. These have the ability to reshoot from the ground. Or I can remove it entirely. And I have not yet made up my mind. So let's see what happens to it. I should say though that I have quite a few plants below it that have actually suffered quite a lot since it became a lot bigger and wider plant than I originally anticipated. But that could be solved by trimming it up. So yeah, it's a big question what will happen to it. Another thing, as we are now on the other side of this elder, you'll notice that first of all I have an evergreen caprifolia in here. It's actually been evergreen throughout the winters that I've had it, and one of these winters went to 18 degrees centigrade below zero, and it still kept its foliage and it didn't die. One of the downsides of this caprifolia though is that it has lost one of its main features. It doesn't have any scent. That's a trade-off though. It still has nice looking flowers, but the scent is gone. But it is evergreen, so yeah, it's a trade-off, right? The scent is one of the main features in caprifolias, of course. But yeah, I like it for the leaves. I really do. I have these bird feeders here. You'll notice that some of them have a big bird barrier on them. Reason why is that there are some really annoying birds here where I live that will fly in and try to take the feed away from the smaller birds. But you'll also notice that there's one hanging right here that doesn't have a big bird barrier. Reason why is that I have a woodpecker here, and it was too large to fit into these. It couldn't get through the barrier basically, so I put up a couple of bird feeders especially for the woodpecker, and it prefers these peanuts that I'm feeding here. I have stopped feeding birdseed mixes. A couple of years ago I think it was last year actually, I did feed with a bird seed mix, and what happens is that the birds will basically each have their favorite food, and they will keep on removing seeds from these until they get to their favorite. And they will empty one of these out quite quickly, and everything will be on the ground below it. So what I'm feeding now is I'm feeding sunflowers in this one. I'm feeding hemp seeds in the one in the middle. And over here we have sunflowers again. Up there we have these balls of fat. And some more peanuts for the smaller birds. And that's what I'm feeding here. Oh, and I feed with apples as well for the blackbirds. Yeah, I think that concludes the trip. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.